Submissive types in erotic literature. Literature is a historical and social document. It comments on the development of thought, society, and even sexuality. What becomes important? People express through art. As certain eroticisms and fetishists and dynamics become conscious, then we see them expressed in writing. I've been studying over 100 pieces of erotic literature. I see patterns and connections and commonalities and differences. And what I see evolving are 5 types of submissives. You're listening to the Mistress Code. I'm RacyWilde. So the first type is the Fetishistic Architect. Fetishists. Their core trait is orchestrated submission masked as surrender. This submissive does not relinquish control, but designs it, scripting rituals, contracts, and fantasies in which the dominer is invited to play a role he has pre-designed for her. His surrender is performative. He seeks not subjugation, but fulfillment of his desires. I have called this type of submissive before submissive fetishist in previous posts. In such narratives, the dominer risks becoming a passive performer rather than an active power. These narratives often collapse into male fantasy. Yet when resisted, for example, Wonder in Venus and Furs, the dynamic often collapses. The function, a fetishistic architect clarifies the distinction between masochistic theater and the genuine power exchange, essential in defining femdom's refusal to be reduced to male masochism. Number 2. The Transformational Beggar or Soul Searcher. Their core trait, surrender as existential or emotional metamorphosis. This submissive seeks not erotic performance but meaning. Submission is a mode of becoming, often playful, destabilizing, and deeply intimate. These submissives are not weak but resilient. They yield to the dominer not out of compulsion, but in search of personal truth, healing, or liberation. These narratives position femdom not as a sadistic domination, but as a relational ethic. The dominer becomes a transformer, not a punisher. This dynamic allows the genre to explore tenderness, trauma, and moral complexity. The function, a transformational narrative, establishes femdom as philosophical erotics, where submission is less about pain and more about transcendence or relational depth. Number 3, the Grotesque Object. Object or degradee. Core trait, depersonalized aesthetic objectification. The submissive is reduced to an object, often feminized, mutilated, or psychologically erased. They are shaped by the dominer into an aesthetic, tool, or doll. This type of submissive appears frequently in decadent or Sadian aesthetic femdom. This kind of narrative blurs femdom with artistic cruelty. The dominer becomes a sculptor of flesh and identity. Domination becomes ontological, not just sexual. While ethically controversial, often centered around degradation, this mode challenges liberal subjecthood and decenters the autonomous self. Its function? It pushes femdom into radical aesthetic and philosophical concepts, revealing the genre's potential for abjection and deconstruction of identity. art or truth as death. Number 4, the resistant challenger, the brat or seducee. Core trait: struggles, rebels, and tests boundaries. The submissive does not surrender easily. Their defiance becomes the fire in which the dominor's dominance is forged. They may mock, sabotage, or resist, but ultimately their resistance serves as a narrative device to escalate power and deepen the dynamic. The resistant challenger enables erotic literature to be structurally dynamic. Power is not static. It is earned, imposed, and strategically maneuvered. This type of submission keeps domination ethically and erotically power as force. Its function dramatizes the contested nature of power and offers the domina opportunities to prove rather than merely declare her dominance. This is the dynamic where submission needs to be earned. A lot of subs conflate the earned submission to every type of dynamic, but this is technically not so. Number 5, the symbolic vessel, slave or protocol. Core trait: the submissive as allegorical or spiritual sight. Submission here is abstract, ritualized, depersonalized, and sometimes voiceless. These submissives are dominated by language, form, and discipline. Their suffering becomes not personal but ontological, part of a larger metaphysical or philosophical objective. These narratives elevate femdom into spiritual and epistemic realms. The domina is not just a sexual actor, but a priestess, an oracle, or philosophical guide. The submissive's body becomes a text to be read, marked, and transfigured. Its function allows erotic literature to transcend the erotic and explore questions of truth, language, and transformation through symbolic discipline. Thus, femdom in literature is not defined solely by the dominor's traits, but by the kind of submissive with whom she engages with. Each submissive type brings out a different genre logic: fetish, intimacy, art, conflict, or metaphysics. Together, the domina and submissive form the genre's affective architecture, shaping not only erotic asymmetry, relational power-based dynamic, but philosophical and narrative depth. The domina dominates, but the submissive structures the domination. They are the energy through which power becomes legible, volatile, or sacred. As such, a domina's domination is limited by her choice of submissive.